Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time.
Well, good morning and welcome back to history class. Okay, we were talking all last week about Julius Caesar and his life. And by now you may be wondering, why are we spending so much time talking about Julius Caesar? You've been telling me a lot about the man, but you haven't said a whole lot about how important he is. Well, that changes today, because today we're going to talk about what Caesar did that changed the Roman Republic. Okay, we start with what we talked about on Tuesday of last week, when we said that Caesar became the consul of Rome, so the president, with two of his friends. Two generals. One was called Pompey the Great, and the other was called Marcus Crassus. And together, these three men ruled Rome. But remember, you can only be consul for a year. After Caesar his time ran up, he went and became the governor of Gaul. Now, if you look on a map for Gaul, you won't find it. It doesn't exist anymore. It's been split up. But back then, Gaul was what they called Europe. It was France, Switzerland, and part of Italy. I've used that map. I showed you this before. Caesar became the governor of all that area, and he fought the people of Gaul. But during that time, he became very, very, very popular. He led fights. He led his troops, his armies, against the people of Gaul. You don't know what their name for them was? You may have heard this word before. Caesar and his men and the Romans, they called the people of Gaul barbarians. You ever heard that word before? Barbarian. And they called them barbarians because when Caesar and his men, when they all met the people of Gaul for the first time, they thought, boy, these people speak really, really strangely. They spoke a different language. And to the Romans, the people of Gaul sounded like sheep when they talked, like ovejas. And what do sheep say? Sheep say, ba, ba. So they called them the barbarians because they were making fun of their language. That's where the word comes from. But yes, the Romans called the people of Gaul barbarians. And Caesar and his men, they attacked Gaul, conquered a lot of it, and Caesar became more powerful because of that, and he became very popular. So popular that back home, Pompey the Great and Marcus were saying, he's too popular. He's too popular. People like him too much. If he becomes more popular, he might become more powerful than either of us. And if he comes back and tries to take over the country, who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him? It's not going to be us. Especially it wasn't going to be Crassus, because he died not too long after Caesar left. And so there's Pompey all by himself. And Pompey, he really liked being in charge. Because remember I said the Roman Republic had become very corrupt. And Pompey said, if Caesar comes back with his armies, he might decide to take over Rome. What do we do? Well, he waited. He waited until it was time for Caesar to stop being governor and to come back home. Now, the whole time Caesar was away, he was hearing about how things were getting really, really bad in Rome. That Pompey was becoming corrupt, just like all the other rulers. He was doing things that would make him look good, make him look popular, and not worrying about the people. So when Caesar heard about this, he said, you know what? We can't leave the government of Rome to weak men like Pompey. Remember, Caesar thought that being strong was the most important thing. So he said, I'm going to take over Rome. I'm going to take over Rome. And so he took his army and they marched to Rome. They didn't get right to Rome, though. They stopped right outside of Rome. See, on the border of Rome, there was a little river, and it was called the Rubicon. Once you crossed that river, you were in Rome. You were in Rome. Caesar, as he got closer to Rome, Pompey sent him a letter. He said, don't enter your Rome with your armies. Before you can come back to Rome, you have to give up control of your army. And Caesar didn't want to do that. So now he's there at the Rubicon, and he has a choice to make. Does he go across the river with his army and take over Rome, or does he give his army up, go back home, and then Rome continues to become weaker and weaker? Well, it was a hard choice because whatever choice Caesar made, there was no turning back. He couldn't go into Rome with his armies and then say, I don't want to do this anymore, somebody else can do it. He couldn't do that. And if he decided to give up and go home, then his men wouldn't respect him enough to come back and try again. So Caesar had a choice to make. Do I lead my armies into Rome and take it over and run things the way I think they should be run? Or do I let everybody go home, and then I go home, and then Rome becomes weak until it gets attacked by its enemies and gets taken over? It was a hard choice. And Caesar made the one that would change the world forever. While all his men were looking at him, he got on his horse and rode it across the river Rubicon. And he turned back to his men and said, we've crossed the Rubicon. There's no turning back. And his men cheered for him. They said, we're with you, Caesar, we're with you. And so Caesar marched his men into Rome. And when he got there, he found out that Pompey had gotten scared and had run away. There was no fighting. There didn't have to be a war. Caesar marched into Rome. And people who saw him coming in said, Yay, Caesar! Yay, Caesar! Caesar is our consul now! Caesar is our ruler! But Caesar said, I'm not going to be the consul. I'm going to be the dictator. The dictator. Do you know what a dictator is? Consuls, they had to have two people ruling side by side. But Caesar said, I'm not going to be a consul. I'm not going to share my power with anybody. I'm going to be the dictator. What I say goes. And nobody can argue with me. The Roman Republic belongs to me now. And we're going to make some changes around here. We're going to change the Roman Republic. Caesar has crossed the Rubicon. There is no turning back. Caesar now is in control of Rome. And Rome, which is now the most powerful country in the world, as Caesar said, we're going to make some changes around here. What kind of changes? Well, we'll talk about those tomorrow. We talk about what Caesar did in Rome and what he did to Pompey. We'll find out about him tomorrow as well. But for now, let's stop and go on to our questions here. So, question number 1, it was, who were the people that Caesar fought in Europe? They were the people of Gaul, who Caesar and his men and all the Romans called barbarians. The barbarians was their word for foreigner. Basically, it was their word for gringo, okay? That'll give you an idea. Number 2, what river did Caesar cross to come back to Rome? And that was the Rubicon. The Rubicon. And then question number 3, what did Caesar call himself when he returned to Rome? It wasn't consul, it was dictator. The dictator. Somebody with all the power of the Roman Republic in one man. A man that everybody had to obey. All right. So tomorrow we'll pick up with Caesar and see how he does as the head of the Roman Republic. So I think we're out of time for right now, so why don't we stop? And I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.